Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Welcome to today's QA Tools workshop. And we are going to today talk about how we at the QE Tools team use Agile work frameworks and aspects of different frameworks within our daily work. And for this, I will show you to be worked on in a sprint. That sprint usually takes 2 weeks. It can take longer or shorter, depending on the team and their way of working. And in those 1 to 4 weeks, we have regular meetings, like the daily meeting, and yeah, and we work on those issues in priority, in order of priority, and yeah, at the end there will be a sprint review meeting, sprint review meeting, and a sprint retrospective, and those finish up the sprint, and hopefully the sprint backlog by that time is finished, and we start from the beginning. Within the sprint review meeting, we refine the new sprint backlog and go back to the beginning, and this will cycle. I'm sure most of you are familiar, and most of you also probably already seen a Kanban board. It's a list of issues with different columns, and you work your issues from the left to the right, starting with the backlog. In this case, this would be the sprint backlog, so only the subset of issues that we had a look at earlier. And you move, as a developer, you move issues to from left to right, and those issues are also sorted by priority. Yeah. So those are the very rough basics of the concepts that we're taking parts of for our daily teamwork. So since rather recently, for a couple of months now, we've split the team into dev and infra, which basically focuses. Yeah, you can see the main aspects. We have one is more logically more developing of our upstream projects. The other one is more taking care of infrastructure, because we also, for example, maintain a lot of machines that are used in QE, and also that machines that host the official instances. And here we have some ticket queries. Those are important for different team members, but all team members use all queries just a different amount of times. So this joint team backlog here, for example, combines all the tickets from the QA tools team. It's right now probably not too often used because everyone mostly focuses on their own team. So let's take a smaller one. And in this list, now you can already see this looks different to the Kanban board that we just had, to the example of a Kanban board that we had a look at. But it's rather similar, actually. So this workable, not column, this row right here, I guess, is for us the sprint backlog, in quote unquote. So it's also sorted by priority. One could take a ticket as a developer, one could take a ticket here. Those are all already estimated in our estimation meetings. Those happen once a week. We have 2 of those, one for each sub-team. And once a new ticket is estimated, it will go to workable, and then anyone can assign. And in theory, of course, we can also pick an unestimated ticket and estimate it later, but already work on it. So this would move the ticket to in progress. In our example, that was the second column. I forgot what it was. I think it was doing or something like that. So that's the second column. I will not repeat myself now. We have another column here blocked, which is an optional column, I guess. If there's any issue, it comes here. And hopefully it goes back into in progress or directly into feedback. And feedback is the step before we resolve the ticket. Sometimes we can resolve it without putting it into feedback, but it depends on the ticket. Exactly. So we are using this list format because actually there is a way to, of course, this is confusing to me if it's in this responsive format. So there's this agile view, which if you see this is a lot more like what we saw earlier with the Kanban board. The reason we don't use this, as far as I know, is mostly because it's more work we have to manually sort everything here by priority, like we would have to move these green low priority tickets to the bottom, for example, and the red priority tickets, which are, I guess we don't have any right now. Like a higher priority should be to the top. But to salvage this, we have, for example, the dev team uses in the daily stand-up this view, which is basically just using the swim lanes by priority. And this is more or less also a Kanban board, just with those swim lanes. So now we automatically the color coding here is different. Yeah, so high priority tickets are now at the top, so we can work from the top to the bottom, both while picking tickets and while discussing tickets, we can look at the most important stuff first. And yeah, that's quite useful. In the infra team, we are using the list view that we saw at the beginning most of the time. Yes. So let me get back here. Yeah. So yeah, those are the two main queries where you have a big overview of the backlog. There's also the overall backlog that includes tickets which are not yet to be worked on. Anyone in the team is encouraged to look into this backlog, and if there's anything interesting, we can bring it up to include it into the current backlog. Yeah. Now let's go have a quick look what to expect from team members, active contributions, specifically pull request code reviews, ticket updates. Of course, as I mentioned, descending priority. This is not a fixed thing, so we encourage everyone to pick the highest priority. But if there's any reason for the specific person to not work on the ticket, it's not a must to pick always the first ticket. Yes, of course, we try to be responsive on communication platforms, like also external ones like Element and or Matrix and IRC, and of course internally on Slack. And yeah, let's have a look at common task for our team members. This is now more or less describing our version of the workflow. Here we have the DevOps image with an infinity symbol. So we start with planning, then we go to coding, building, testing, releasing, deployment, operating, and monitoring until we start again. So and now we'll also have a look at some of the tools that we use beside Redmine. Redmine, we just had a short look at that Progress, the software behind Progress. So yeah, we state our daily learnings as everyone from the team. I think latest 11 o'clock we should at least like have written something in our chats, internal chat, or at the least actively contribute at the daily and state what blockers we have, and yeah, if we need help or what's urgent right now. Like if maybe there's a very urgent new ticket that needs to be estimated outside of the estimation meetings. Yeah, something like that. So, oh yeah, that's also the second line. And here coordinate on the Agile board. We just had a look at that. Code, of course, we do also coding. So in this case here, there's this entire list of all the projects. We of course have a review process. Most of the times it's 2 reviews, and without that it's not getting merged or any pull request. And yeah, we also encourage to do some co-op sessions while developing. And yeah, one interesting thing, I guess, it's not in this list, but we have a project. This is the QA tools backlog assistant, which is also rather important for Agile work. So we have this overview here, which is not looking too good at the moment. I will have to look right after the meeting. So this is basically queries on progress, and it will give a status on where we should, yeah, if everything's looking good, and if not, what's the issue. So for example, these are the split teams that I had mentioned earlier. They both have their own backlogs with lists of tickets to be picked from. And here we can see if those amounts of tickets in the backlog are still within the limits. And yeah, and if not, we can react. And yeah, this is project here on GitHub. And yeah, this is rather useful for us, also for the Scrum Master, which currently I am. So I will have to definitely after the meeting have a look here. We have SLOs and SLAs. We can have a short look at that. Service level agreements and service level objectives. So depending on the priority of the ticket, we respond, or we try, of course, to respond in a certain amount of time. For us internally, these timeframes here are what we pay attention to. And yeah, so if you're curious, here are the exact timeframes. Sorry, let me just. So, yes, and those queries that I showed you will, the backlog assistant that I showed you will also alert us on those timeframes if we don't react on tickets in time. Yes. I'm not sure. Yeah, then of course co-op sessions, as I mentioned. Build is of course depending on the individual project, and often of course the build step is part of, for example, a test pipeline will build the project beforehand, or if we have a deployed pipeline, I will have a look at that later. That might also build a project automatically. So for manual builds, we also have some scripts prepared that help us there, but yeah, usually it's project specific. Yeah, so testing is of course very important. We have Circle CI here, where which is also alerting us, and we, for example, have a test on wait a second. So we have, for one, we have the nightly. Whoops. The nightly, which just creates the documentation, I think. And yeah, here we have full stack tests on master. So these are on pull request. These are generated. No, not on pull request, but on master, on the master branch. We run full stack tests and also the unit test. And yes, and this we see here in Circle CI. And this also alerts us if anything goes wrong via email. And yeah, similarly, so we have this OpenQA Devil project on OBS, which is building to this repository, which is not what you find if you just enter Zipper search OpenQA. That is actually the same, but OpenQA and then tested is at the end. That will be submitted to factory. So we have this project, Devil OpenQA and Devil OpenQA tested, which we both use, but the actual one that is submitted to factory is tested, and the other one is, for example, for those tests on the master branch. The packages are built beforehand onto this project. And yeah, we also have Jenkins. This takes care of the deployment. And you can see here, submit OpenQA to OS OpenSUSE Factory. I guess we can have a quick look. Last build. And we can, for example, check the console output. Yeah. And one other thing I just saw, which might be interesting, we have the OpenQA and OpenQA tests, which are also triggered here. Since testing is important, we test ourselves using the software that we develop. I'm sure probably forgot something. We of course have a whole many pipeline steps on individual pull requests. We also have code cuff to test if we are still covering everything with tests. And this will also, on the pull request, one will see, for example, OS Autoinst now has, for quite a while now, has full coverage. So if it does not have full coverage, any pull request will not be mergeable. Yes, and Jenkins we just had a look at, right? So release is the next point. That's we use a rolling release. So this is different to the regular Scrum time frame where after each sprint there would be one fixed release if the sprint was successful. But we have a rolling release. So for us, it's not that fixed time frame. And overall, we don't have those fixed timeframes in the same span as the regular Scrum process would. For example, our backlog is not defined to be completely done in 1 or 2 weeks, but rather dynamically grow and as we work on it, it grows. But still, we have review meetings and retrospective meetings every 2 weeks to reflect on how we worked and what we achieved and everything like that. So that we took from the Scrum process. But back to this here. We've been at release. Now deploy. We have automatic deployment for O3. You can see here, or you cannot see here. Actually, it's just I think it's a systemd service that basically automatically updates in the background the packages which are already submitted to factory. So it's just a zipper call in the background, more or less, that updates. And similarly for OSD, we have a deployment pipeline on GitLab that I think I have a tab open somewhere. Yes, here. Automatic OSD deployment. You can have a quick look here. Yes, my cat wants to say hello. Let's see, I want to see stages. So let's see, look at the past one. So this pipeline basically checks, it does some checks, multiple checks, everything's still working, and then downloads the packages and deploys it. There's also some monitoring post-deployment. But this is only for OSD, as I mentioned. O3 does it as in the background. Operate, as I mentioned earlier, we also maintain infrastructure, and this is an ongoing process. So we apply changes as it's needed to the infrastructure manually via SSH or IPMI or whatever's necessary at the moment and what's possible. And we also try to, for example, keep needles up to date, and also, like, for example, networks, we try to keep up to date for the machines that we maintain. And that's mostly what we do to operate. Monitoring, I partially no. We have for O3, we have Zabbix. So basically, you can see here all machines. Some workers, for example, we can have a look at just picked a random one. You can have a look at the triggers here. Yes. And just have a quick. So yeah, everything here looks quite okay right now. This would also alert us via email if anything's wrong. And for OSD, we have Grafana and Telegraph, and that would alert us as well if we have anything urgent that we have to look into. Yeah, we try to see that there are no incomplete jobs, and yeah. As I mentioned, we get alerts we try to react on, and not only by Zabbix and Grafana, but also by individual projects and pipelines. For example, here we have a pipeline that regularly pings certain machines, and if a ping is not successful, it will throw a IPMI command to reboot the machine automatically. So yeah, to mitigate immediate problems automatically, if possible, if a reboot helps. Sorry, not sure what's wrong with my throat right now. Yeah, I mentioned earlier we have this IRC chat where we try to be responsive. We have different channels here, and yeah, we also have the metrics. So we have, we have also a Grafana panel for how we are doing in terms of work on tickets. So, for example, there's an overview of what's actually what. No, it's opening again. Yeah. Of what's currently what's in feedback, in progress, and new, and we have a cycle time. So what's the average time on how long we need to resolve a ticket after it's been picked up, and that's of course a metric that's interesting. And those metrics we have a look at the sprint review most of the time. Not the sprint, but our review meeting. It's not a per se sprint review, but our review meeting. And of course, also how many tickets we close is also interesting for us. So we track this here. For example, yesterday we did quite well. We did 7 tickets. But of course, some tickets are a lot bigger than others. So it's not always the most indicative. Yes, and we of course have those mailing lists that also the alerts land at that I mentioned earlier. And on Slack, we have different channels. We have our own channel for internal communication, of course, the QE Tools channel, but we also react mostly to we have a lot of requests coming from the engineering testing channel. And yes, I think with that, for the most part, we are through. We also have a short section here on how we work on our backlog. Or it's not actually that short, but we don't have to read through the entire thing. But yeah, as I already mentioned parts of it, due dates, those we are actually setting automatically as soon as something is picked up. There's a 14-day time frame until the ticket is due, quote unquote. But that's only a reminder. We try to, of course, resolve it earlier or bring up issues if we see that it would take longer. Yeah, we should bring that up. And yeah, so as I mentioned, every team member can pick up the tickets as they like. We just encourage to pick the high priority tickets first always. which usually that's what happens. But of course, if we have someone who's new at the team, we have also beginner tickets, and of course, those people would prefer those tickets and can of course pick those tickets as well. And also, if we go back to extreme programming, we have a rather the one aspect of extreme programming is having a flat hierarchy in the team, and we have specific roles, of course, but everyone in the team can, for a certain time, take over those roles, and also jobs that are usually reserved to certain roles, like changing the priority here. That's usually the product owner would do that. Anyone can do that in our team, and yeah, the product owner would only resolve conflicts here. But usually the product owner is the one who also in our team sets the priority at most cases. And yes, let's look what's the most important here. Yeah, of course we encourage to ask questions. That's always important. Also, stupid questions, quote unquote, aren't stupid most of the time, or actually, there's the saying there are no stupid questions. So yeah, just write what you think, and we might be able to improve on the tickets that way. We try to also communicate with external parties. Like if the ticket was not created by someone in the team, we try to, of course, look for agreement with work on the ticket. Yeah. Then the beginner tickets I mentioned. Yeah, I think for the most part regarding agile work, we are actually already through. Right, we had the limits that we saw at the backlog. The backlog helper are also derived from Kanban. This work in progress limit is a Kanban thing, and we also take that and have a global limit of 10 tickets, and no one should have more than 3 assigned to themselves at the same time. We do this so that we encourage also a collaboration between people, so we cannot only just work on our own tickets at the same time and ignore each other. And similarly for feedback, there's a limit. We don't want feedback to overflow or be tickets to be ignored for a long time. But those would of course also be caught by the SLOs sooner or later. Yes, then maybe we can still have a look here. That's also the limits here. We tried for new tickets, we try to respond immediately. Usually that's also the product owner that does that. And workable, that's why the limit here is 0, because every day we should react on that. So there is no limit that is acceptable if you want to say it like that. Workable, we have a limit from 10 to 40. With the reasoning, it should be enough to reflect a proper plan, but it should not limit work that is started but waiting. If there's always new work coming in, then I guess it's hard to finish what you already started. So that's why this limit is here. And for the overall backlog, we try to keep it below 100 so it's still manageable for one person to get an overview, but still, but also still possible to view on one page, because we have this 100 issues page limit. And yeah, of course, everything should be within the due date. Yeah, I'm sure I forgot 1 or 2 things I wanted to mention, but I would now open it for questions. think we're through on the wiki right now. Yeah. So those are our processes, and how we work in an agile way in the SUSE QA tools team. Yeah, if you're curious, this is of course a public page. That's why I chose to go through this here. If you want to double check anything or want to follow any link that we had a look at, just go to the progress wiki. This is I can also put it in chat.
I have one question.
Yes.
To clarify, I was for a long time the product owner for QE tools. I am not, because I'm on a squad rotation. I'm looking how another squad works and
Mhm.
looking into their processes. And there the question came up about separating, let's say, issues for a product, let's say, example, OpenGA or OpenGA tests versus the backlog of a team. Can you clarify again? Let's say if I create a ticket,
Yes.
some issue that I find with OpenGA, how is the separation done between, well, it might be a valid ticket for OpenGA, but maybe it's not on the backlog for the team?
Yes. So I'm not sure for all teams, but for us, we have the target. Let me open. Just go to some tickets. So here you see target version ready. That is actually implying that it's for the QE tools team. And similarly, next would also imply it's for the QE tools team. If there is no target version, it would probably I assume the project owner would then be the one to assign it to the correct team.
Yeah. If you go back to this overview page,
Yes.
then, sorry, the backlog status page.
Oh, yes.
There you see one red bubble, which is untriaged QA. I think this is one example.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So somebody, I guess Sepp Pilat himself, opened this ticket, which is in OpenGA project. So this is an issue for OpenGA as a software or as a
Yes.
project.
Yes.
What does
Exactly.
it mean for the tools team?
Right now, at the moment, not too much. It would only.
Yeah.
I mean,
So it's not showing up in the backlog, right? It's not
yes,
on the backlog. So
yes,
nobody from the team would see it as part of next tickets to be picked up on the backlog. They might see it as
exactly.
part of the issue tracker. And now the next step would be the triaging to decide. You mentioned it as is said on the wiki, that basically anybody can do the triaging and can make the decision, should it be on the backlog or should it not be. The backlog has those strong limits of, it's actually much lower than 100 nowadays, it's 64. So,
Yeah, right. You're right.
we want to have a focused view and a focused plan for the team. So that's why there is this limit. So that means there's a good chance that the ticket might end up on the backlog or might not end up on the backlog. And that is, if the tools team marks it by target version, of course, there would be other alternatives like use some special tag, use some keyword in the subject, move
Yeah.
it to a different tracker or something like that. Yeah,
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up.
good. There was a question in chat.
Oh, okay. Okay, do you have any roles, suggestions in place to link progress tickets to Git commits or merge requests, pull requests? Any roles, suggestions about how you do code review? Generally speaking, how do you link ticketing and coding? Yes, so for the most part, we have the feedback. Let me go back to the. So if generally speaking, on every pull request, we expect a review or at least two reviews by team members. And for specific feedback, we have this feedback status for tickets, where we pretty much put tickets where we explicitly ask the team for feedback. We don't have specific roles that are like besides the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master, of course, keeps an eye on the feedback tickets.
There, I think it was supposed to mean rules. Or
Okay. That could be it.
yeah, so we don't distinguish any roles, so there's like no special person or something.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. I hope it already answered your question. If not, feel free to just follow up. And but yeah, we have this fixed limit of at least two code reviews, and yeah, and this feedback status for tickets.
I have one other question. You quickly shared the Wikipedia page about extreme programming, which
Yes.
shows this um, visualization of feedback cycles. Yep, on the yes, that one. That
Yes. To be honest, so extreme programming is also the one framework I'm less familiar with compared to Scrum and
yeah,
Kanban. But
but
as far as I understood this graphic here, it's
yes,
like these time frames in between the different stages here basically tell you how long it takes to get feedback on, for example, pair programming. You get immediate feedback if you're working with someone in a team. If you're running a unit test, it will take some minutes to get the feedback. If you pair negotiation, not even
yeah,
sure about this
pair
one.
negotiation is like when you would let's say during the day ask somebody in chat and say like, hey guys, I'm working on that and I have some, bigger question.
Okay,
Um,
yes,
I think this is how it would be. And I would say we have a proper process for every single level so that on every order of magnitude of time within the tools team, there are those according feedback loops. Would you agree?
yes, I think so.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah, but I must admit I also was a little bit confused by this graphic at the first glance. Um,
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes. Any other questions? Okay, if not, then I guess we can stop a couple minutes early. Um, Thank you for joining and yeah, contributing and be part of the today's workshop.
Thank you.
And thank you for an awesome presentation. Very nice.
Yes, thanks. And if anyone's curious, we actually plan there. It's not set in stone yet, but we plan to do follow up, not within the frame of the QE tools workshop, but we have also meetings planned and collaborative meetings planned regarding agile development in the future to exchange knowledge in that regard between teams. But there is no fixed time frame for this yet. But keep your eyes and ears and eyes open.
Yeah, and also for the next one, which I think is the 5th of
Oh
September,
yes, right.
uh,
Right.
there will be workshop about container environments. I think that's the one.
What am I doing wrong?
At the top of the current
Here
workshop
we
topics,
go.
there you
Yes.
go. 5th of September, container environments for OpenGA development.
Exactly. So yeah, next week we will have this topic. Yes. Okay, thanks. I will stop sharing.